So far, we've seen how we can write a single conditional statement using the if keyword, which can contain a single condition or multiple conditions. So let's revisit our previous example of working for Netflix. We had if age is less than 18, then print you are not old enough to watch this movie. Now, as you can see, we haven't got a fully working program yet, because once this condition has been assessed, we either print out you are not old enough to watch this movie, or if the condition is false and they are indeed 18 or more, then nothing happens. Introducing the else statement. Now, else statements allow us to stipulate what we want our code to do when certain conditions are not met. So else statements always appear in conjunction with if statements. So let's add on an else statement to our Netflix program. So where we have if age is less than 18, print you're not old enough to watch this movie. If ever there is a time when the first condition is not met, we simply want to execute the statement after the else statement. So we can put else, then a colon. We can then put the code that we want to execute. So for this example, we'll simply put print, and then we'll enter inside the parentheses the string enjoy the movie. So in this way, we can build if statements that execute different code if conditions are or are not met. And this prevents us from needing to write if statements for every possible scenario. So we can instead write a single else statement for all the times the condition is not met. So we don't need to write if age equals 18, then enjoy the movie. If age equals 19, then enjoy the movie, and so on. Okay, so we have an if statement in which we can include conditions, and then we have an else statement which is executed if the conditions above are not met. Now we have one more keyword to introduce that conditional statements can include, and this is what is known as the ELIF statement. And it's exactly what it looks like. ELIF is Python's way of saying else if. Now an ELIF statement will allow us to check another condition after the previous statement if the previous statement's conditions were not met. So first, the if statement is checked. Then each ELIF statement is checked from top to bottom. Then finally, the else code is executed if none of the previous conditions have been met. So let's put this in an example where we give out awards based on test scores. So let's say if score is greater than or equal to 80, then we'll print out gold award. Now if this condition is not met, we can move on to the ELIF statement where we can then put ELIF score is greater than or equal to 60, then print silver award. Now if neither of these statements are met, we can put another ELIF statement. So let's put ELIF score is greater than or equal to 40, then print bronze award. Now we can put however many ELIF statements we want, depending on the amount of awards we want to give out. But let's say that if these statements are not met, then the student will be provided with no award. So we can finish with an else statement, which means everything else print no award. So consider this block of conditional statements to be like a waterfall. If the if statement is not met, we move to the first ELIF. If the first ELIF statement is not met, we move to the second, and so on. If none of the conditions are met, we default to the else statement where no award will be printed out. So if I create a variable called score above this block of conditional statements and we set this equal to 80, when we run this code, we can see that we print to the screen gold award. This is because the first if statement's conditions are met, hence we print gold award. If I change the score to be 65, you can see that we print out silver award. If I change the score to be 45, we print out bronze award. And for completeness, if I set score to equal 39, you can see that we print out no award because none of the statements are met and we therefore default to the else statement. Now I have a question for you to consider. What would happen if I change all of the ELIF keywords to be if keywords? Well, let's take a look. So if I set the variable score to be 80 and run the code, we would actually provide 3 awards, because each statement would be assessed individually, and since 80 is greater than or equal to 80, 60 and 40, it meets each of these if conditions and we print each message. But if we use ELIF statements, it checks each condition sequentially and only prints one message. Okay, so I now want to bring in an example that ties what we saw together when we covered lists. Now you never know, it may come in useful for a future project. So let's take the idea of a shopping list. We can first create an empty shopping list because we haven't decided what we want to buy yet. So we can put shopping_list and we can set this to a set of square brackets. Now secondly, let's create a variable called item, and we will set this first to be apples, as we love eating an apple in the morning. So how can we get this added to our shopping list by using conditional statements? Well, we can first of all perform a conditional check to see if apples are in the list. Now, can you remember how to do this? If you're thinking list membership testing, you would be correct. So let's perform a membership test on this. We can put our expression, so we can put item, which stores apples at the moment. We can then put the in operator, and then we can put the list we want to perform a membership test on. So in this case, it's shopping_list. When we run this code, we get false returned, which is expected because our shopping_list is an empty list at the moment. Now, if we change this to be item not in shopping_list, we can then see that apples are not in shopping list, and the statement evaluates to true. Now, this can now be used as our Boolean expression. So if we type if, which starts our conditional statement, and then cut and paste the previous Boolean expression after our if statement, we are first checking to see if the item is not in the list. We can then put a colon. After the colon, we need to specify what code we want to execute if this statement evaluates to true. So let's add the item to the shopping list if it doesn't exist currently. Can you remember how to do this? Well, to add an item, we can put our list name, so shopping_list, and then we can utilize the append method. Inside the parentheses, we can put the variable which stores the item, so we can put item inside the parentheses. When we run this code, you can see that when we take a look to see what's inside the shopping_list, we get apples added to it. Now let's try to run the code again. When we do, and then take a look inside shopping_list, you can see we still only have the string apples and it hasn't been duplicated, i.e. it hasn't been added twice. Now this is because the second time we've run the code, the conditional statement evaluates to false, because item, which stores apples, is in the shopping list, and therefore the code that follows the colon does not get executed. So you are now able to write conditional statements. You can use if, ELIF and else, as well as include multiple Boolean expressions by using and or if you so desire. We've also covered different comparison operators to give you flexibility in your expressions. So you're now equipped with tremendous flexibility when it comes to writing control flow. Practice the syntax and include multiple conditional statements using ELIF to make sure you understand how it operates. Try using different comparison operators such as greater than, not equal to, and so on. Now in short, if you have programs that have logic inside, conditional statements will help you implement it.